Your president is watching. America is watching. But more important, Godfather is watching. Make no mistake, there will be no fuck-ups. Marines around this world would give they left nuts to be where you are. Anybody not want to go? Marines, kill on 3. 1, 2, 3. Kill!
Let's talk about another beauty. Willard Mitt Romney. Now, I want you to understand something. It was Willard Mitt Romney's comment yesterday, his tweet or whatever it was, that, and the only reason I'm going there, Mitt, because you started it. Mitt, you had to go there. All the insults you made about the President of the United States, put all that in back of us. You know, he interviewed you for Secretary of State. Everything's fine. But no, Judge Moore's got to run. You got to jump in here. Honor, what did he say yesterday? Honor and integrity? Honor and that Judge Moore lacked honor and integrity. And that's why he couldn't vote for him, right? Couldn't support him. Couldn't support him. Judge Moore is a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Judge Moore served his country in one of the toughest wars we've ever had, Vietnam. And he went over there for his country, his state, and his family. Mitt, that's honor and integrity. And by the way, Mitt, while we're on the subject of Vietnam and honor and integrity, you avoided service, brother, right? You served. Okay, Mitt, here's how it is, brother. Now the college deferments, that's we can debate that, but you hid behind your religion. You went to France to be a missionary while guys were dying in rice paddies in Vietnam. Do not talk to me about honor and integrity. And now I'm going to get personal. You ran for commander-in-chief. You had 5 sons. Not one day of service in Afghanistan and Iraq. We have 7,000 dead and 52,000 casualties. And where were the Romneys during those wars? You want to talk about honor and integrity, brother? Bring it. Bring it down here to Alabama. You have the guts to get on the stage. You have the guts to get on the stage of a man that served in Vietnam, and you expect us to believe honor and integrity? Judge Roy Moore has more honor and integrity in that pinky finger than your entire family has in its whole DNA. And you know why he's on Judge Moore. He's still bitter about Donald Trump. Embrace it, Mitt. He is President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, something you so miserably failed at.
I just think he ought to be honest with the American people and try to win as the real Mitt Romney.
Meet the real Mitt Romney.
Who is the real Romney?
No one really knows who the real Mitt Romney is.
He's an enigma, and he's
He's a dad and a family man.
Who is the real Romney?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? Will the real Mitt Romney please stand up? I repeat, will the real Mitt Romney please stand up? We're going to have a problem here.
Y'all act like you haven't seen a Mormon before. George, down on the floor. I'm not concerned about the very poor. Got it wrong. Sorry, that's not what I meant. I want every American to be in the top 1%. I'm really named Willard. That's my first name. I'm not looking for a colony on the moon, just for someone to blame. I like being able to fire people.
I'm Newt Gingrich.
You're fired.
I'm Rick Santorum, and I'm fired.
Boom, boom, boom. Conservative women.
Love Mitt Romney.
And I love cars. I love lakes. I'm running for office, for Pete's sake. With regards to abortion, pro-life, pro-choice, I firmly believe in my own singing voice. For purple mountains, majesty, above the fruited plain.
Where are we at, John?
With regards to abortion, you can choose your own adventure. It's a Republican
Dimension.
and I'm more concerned about the banks. They're unable to lend. Corporations are people, my friend. My dog is on the roof. My dog is on the roof. Who let the dogs out? Understand, I'm an exception to Obama. Contraception, not a vulture. I'm an eagle. I'm going to get my lawn cut by illegals. There will be an influx of Hispanic voters in trucks. Look, if you don't believe, I'll tell you what, $10,000? Well, I made a lot of money. Matter of factually. So I drive a couple of Cadillacs, actually. I have emotion and passion. That's a joke for the record. But if you want the soul of America restored, come on board. Take your fair share and every Mormon raise your underwear. Sing the chorus. Papa Bear, I'm Mitt Romney, and I'm the real Romney. While the other Mitt Romneys are just masturbating.
So will the real Mitt Romney please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I'm the real Romney. While the other Mitt Romneys are just masturbating.
So will the real Mitt Romney please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up.
Boom, boom. I'm Mitt Romney, and I'm the real Romney. While the other Mitt Romneys are just masturbating.
So will the real Mitt Romney please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I'm the real Romney. While the other Mitt Romneys are just masturbating.
So will the real Mitt Romney please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up.
And welcome, everybody, to Cold War Radio, live from Studio Number 1, which means we are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am your host, Hutch Bailey Jr., deep down in my broadcast bunker. The Cold War Radio patron hotline, 412-206-6208. The voicemail, for those of you listening to the podcast, 412-567-1460, if you'd still like to get on the program. Please go to steelcityresistance.com and become a Cold War Radio patron. You can also catch the research room there. Tons of information. The video page, which highlights the videos from which the audio clips for the show come. You can get some extra detail there. Especially tonight, we have a clip of Rush Limbaugh receiving the Medal of Freedom. You're probably going to want to watch that if you haven't seen it previously. If you'd like to write to the program, please write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 10433, 370 Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15234. See, really what that music is when I give the first part of the intro, I'm standing at the front door of the studio. And then when that kicks in, that's when I take the official Cold War Radio pimp cane and ease around the back of the desk and sit down at the studio. Let's turn the turret to the south, to Atlanta, Georgia, and welcome Stacy Rush to the program. Hello, Stacy.
That just made me laugh out loud, Hutch Bailey Jr. I loved it. Good evening to you and Sal. Good to be with you guys.
All right, let's swing it over to the west and welcome Sal to the program. Hello, Sal.
Hutch, Stacy, good to be with you both. And we're going to have to learn a little bit more about that pimp cane. So let's put that on the back burner for right now. but we might have to talk about it. I don't know if we have time tonight.
This is going to be a full one. This is going to be a full one. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, let's just store that away for a little bit and maybe revisit it.
I will say it is from Ireland, and Rocky bequeathed it on the studio forever to have its place. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned the voicemail number for the podcast listeners. Let's listen to Tom Leslie out in Reno, Nevada, running the railroad.
Hey, Hutch Bailey. It's Tom Leslie out here in Reno, locomotive engineer. Hey, I just want to touch base, man. Been a little, really, man, I've been trying to divorce myself from all this politics, man. It's like they meant to do that, man. I kind of, dipping out of the scene for a while and just so I can get ready and wrapped up for November. But anyways, hey, I just want to let you know, man, I put a little money in there. Hopefully you guys get out to the, do the plans out there with the convention. I wish other people would pony up, though, man. I mean, I get a lot out of your guys' show. I'm just a working man, and so when I listen to you guys, I can kind of sharpen up my knife to cut through all the bullshit that's being put out there in the regular TV and news and the whole bit. So, anyways, I just want to say I do appreciate you guys out there, and I'm home tonight, so I'm going to try and listen to you guys live tonight instead of podcasting. You take care, Hutch, and keep it up, man. I know you're going to make the right decision for what we do, if we go or not. And have a good one. Bye-bye.
Damn. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. And what you just said right there, not about the convention, what you said about being a working man, and man, you just made my day. Stacy, Sal, that's what it's all about right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love hearing from him. He's such a great listener, as every one of our listeners are. And it just makes you feel like, okay, you're helping, you're doing something, you're doing your part. So it definitely helps re-energize, because I 100% get where he's coming from. Sometimes you just have to unplug from all this political BS.
Yeah, and Stacy, Hutch, and Tom, especially to Tom, a big thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's because of little things like that, ladies and gentlemen, that keeps you going. I mean, I almost wanted to take a nap tonight.
I'm with you. I wanted to too.
But you can't. When people are following and paying attention and counting on, it's like your favorite show that you watch. And I'm not saying Cold War Radio is your favorite show, but it probably is. But you don't want to miss it. It's like when. Before the bad news with Rush, it's like, damn, man, you wait all that time for noon to come around, and then I love Mark Stein, but he's not Rush Limbaugh. It's like that. You have to think about the audience. At least I do. I mean, and I know you guys do too. Nobody's missing any shows, that's for sure. It's been a long time since that happened too, so it's good. All right, so I want to talk about the State of the Union and things like that, but I often feel that we get bombarded with so much information that we let things go. In other words, Eric Holder is still walking around free, and we should still be talking about Fast and Furious, and we're not. So let's go, before we go to the State of the Union, let's go to the Democrat caucuses.
This has not been a success.
10:43 Eastern Time.
We still don't have any results.
We don't have any results from Iowa.
I would say to the people of Iowa, well, the last person leaving Des Moines, please turn out the lights.
What is going on? What is wrong with the Iowa Democratic Party? Again, this is a party who botched the call 4 years ago.
The Iowa Democratic Party now isn't saying anything.
The guy in the White House is chuckling all night here, showing the Democrats can't even get a 3-car funeral organized, or whatever you want to call it.
We have reached out to them. We have asked them, are you having any particular issues? If you are having any particular issues, what are those issues?
We'll be working the phones to figure out, where's Tom Perez?
Do you have an ETA on when you will begin releasing results?
Where's the head of the DNC?
No answer, no answer, no answer. We asked them if they would put a communications representative on the air to explain what's going on.
Give us a call, Tom. Tell us that this is going to be okay.
No answer to that either.
It's staggeringly embarrassing and really unacceptable for the Democratic Party.
Frankly, we are baffled as to what's going on. We are not getting any communication from the Iowa Democratic Party. What happened?
This is a disaster on every level for Democrats and for Iowa.
And as you say, this is highly unusual.
You've handed the White House and the Republicans a cudgel here where you say not only you can't trust this party to run a caucus, you suggest fraud, you suggest corruption, but you also suggest incompetence.
Whoever comes in second here, particularly if it's super close, there's going to be conspiracy theories bouncing around. And so I think that's going to be challenging as well.
If I'm Joe Biden, I'm going to say the whole process was rigged.
Any election in which people are writing with Sharpies at 1 a.m. Is not an election being run with sufficient precision for the consequences that we have.
If I were a Democrat looking at this, it's not just the bureaucratic missteps. It's the fact that where was the enthusiasm that seems so obvious in the age of Trump to be there?
This is the moment. This is the 2020 election.
All right, enough of that. I cut the clip off halfway through. It's all the same. This wasn't a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in the program. I think you're going to be surprised at the analysis of the conservative treehouse, which I tend to trust pretty much. I mean, he's pretty much spot on in everything he says, just about. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what do you guys think? Your initial reaction, Sal, to this?
I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop laughing about it. It is hilarious. They couldn't add 2 pennies together. One penny plus another penny equals 2. I just could not believe it. How many years have they had ready to get? How many years have they had ready to get to be ready for this at this particular day? How many years? A good 3. A good 3 at least.
Okay, so the cover story's working for you, I guess. That's fine.
Yeah, I first of all, I couldn't go to sleep that night. I had to be up at 6:00 the next morning, and I found myself up just watching the coverage, of the entire thing. I thought it was hysterical, but I'm a little bit more cynical in the fact that I think they knew it was going to be a bad day for Biden. I think the party is desperately afraid to keep Bernie Sanders from getting the nomination. And I think they were attempting to slow down momentum so that if the results don't come out until after New Hampshire or people are questioning the results, it looks less bad for Joe Biden, and they're hoping that they get into the southern states, where he supposedly has a firewall. I think they are just absolutely desperate to keep him from being the nominee. I really do.
I think he's done. No matter what the reason or just the mere comedy of it, I'll say it now. He's done. Stick a fork in him. He's done. The South isn't going to help him. This is a train out of control, and I just had to laugh at the beginning, Hutch. I know there's underpinnings to this, but they're going to try to do all that they can. I know we'll get into this later. He's done. It's over for him.
He was done. He was done when they picked him.
He's done, and
he did his job.
And I think he may want to be done because I think it might have a possibility to get kind of ugly for him and Hunter. So maybe he might want to just go under a rock.
I think what we saw happen, first of all, it didn't start last night. It started with the Des Moines Register refusing to release the latest poll. That's always the most accurate poll.
Well, I don't think it even started there, Hutch. I think it started with
you're right.
The impeachment and keeping certain senators in D.C. and giving opportunities to kind of come up in the ranks during this time frame. I mean, I think they're desperate for this man not to become the nominee.
I think they set him up, and I wonder when it's going to be, or if it ever is, that he figures it out. I think he was set up strictly because of the impeachment, because of him being involved in Ukraine and them being able to hold him up as Trump's opponent, and now they have no more use for him. He's done now. You're right, Sal. He's through. He's over. And if he lives throughout the rest of you look at him, and he's in bad shape, man. I mean, he is
he is.
Not in good shape. And we will revisit that. I hope we have time to revisit. I'll try to make sure we do, because it's pretty. I think what happened was, I think this was all a big setup. When you look at, you remember Stacy Mook from the Clinton administration, the IT wizard. This is his app. And he's
actually denied that is his app. I haven't really I've looked into that a little bit. He's come out and said that he has made categorical denials that it's his app. I'd like to follow the money on that one though, because I think that might disclose a little bit more things. I haven't dug deeper into that, but
let's go. I'm open-minded. Let's do it right now. And this is from the Conservative Treehouse. Perfect Club Engineering. And those of you that listen to the show for a while understand that the club is the big club. And it's the Democrat and Republican establishment, along with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Koch brothers. Iowa Democrats release partial results. Buttigieg lead, Bernie screwed, Biden covered. A key point. Oh, wait, I have a clip for this. Let me see where the clip is, which one it is. And I'm going to have to figure that out. Is it that one?
Well, just what Nick said, I think that's right. I mean, there is no Democratic establishment anymore. There's not even a Democratic Party anymore. The Democratic Party is a meaningless notion. That the party, like the Republican Party, has been hollowed out and privatized to a large extent. There are Democratic elites, and so when we talk about the Democratic establishment, we're really talking about a bunch of people that Nick also knows well, which really means Democratic donors. And Democratic donors are freaking out over the prospect of a socialist. I would say if you talk to the average Democratic donor, big money donor, not small dollar donor, in New York City, they are almost as concerned, if not equally concerned, about Bernie Sanders being the nominee as they are about beating Donald Trump. And Sanders poses an incredibly intense threat to that. I think, as Nick said, right now, I will lean into this, Nicole. I think, it's a jump ball here, but there's a candidate who's the tallest candidate on the court right now, and that's Bernie Sanders at this moment. Now, that doesn't mean he will get the tip, but he's the tallest candidate on the court coming into the caucuses tonight. And if he wins here tonight and goes to New Hampshire, where he won in 2016 by 22 points, and is leading by double digits over everybody else in that state, he could easily win the first two contests. He's running neck and neck with Joe Biden right now in Nevada. So a world where Bernie Sanders wins the first three of the four early states is a world where he is a freight train coming out of February. And if you think the Democratic donors, the Democratic elite, the Democratic establishment, whatever the phrase you want to use, but the people who think they run the Democratic Party and used to run the Democratic Party, if you think they're freaking out right now, give me a call on the eve of Super Tuesday when Bernie Sanders, with that wind at his back and with a money machine, a low-dollar donor machine that will give him almost unlimited resources to compete all the way through, not just June, but all the way to the convention, the freak out you will see among Democrats at that moment will be unlike anything you've ever seen before, and I include the Republican freak out over Donald Trump in 2016, to the point where you can imagine a movement of people to do the thing I never thought possible, which was to try to move the entire moderate wing of the party behind Mike Bloomberg. And if you'd asked me whether I thought that was possible 2 months ago, I would have said you were out of your mind. But I don't think it's totally impossible right now if the Sanders scenario plays itself out.
So they're panicking. And Bloomberg, at the same website, there's a good analysis that Bloomberg is trying to buy the Democrat Party right now. He's going in and he's taking command of all kinds of different organizations with his bankroll, where he's going to be a shot caller pretty soon. You've already seen him involved in Virginia and Pittsburgh gun control measures. Listen to the rest of this. A key point of reference is ABC reporter Kendall Carson revealing that the DNC came in and took over the tabulations of the Iowa caucus result prior to the release of this article. One Democrat official I spoke to is being told that the DNC is taking over the accounting of results. The official said that to their knowledge, this has never happened before. This is important because it highlights that the club decided what partial results from what locations, showing what outcomes the club wants to put forth. Put another way, the DNC is releasing a specific 62% of the result to generate a specific Iowa narrative. So what did they release? And it showed Buttigieg, 26.9%, 25.1% to Sanders, 18% to Warren, 15% to Biden. They got him over the hump, over the 15% viability, and they jettisoned Amy Klobuchar at 12%. Again, notice how all club needs are met with this release. Pete Buttigieg is proclaimed the winner so far. This is narrative engineering that allows the promotion of Buttigieg and the diminishment of Bernie. Undermining Bernie is the paramount club goal here. Buttigieg did not win the popular vote, and he will not likely be the final winner, but selecting this specific subset of votes allows a narrative to cement. Next, notice how Joe Biden is propped up above the 15% threshold. This makes it appear that Biden will receive delegates. He may or may not, but for the narrative, propping up Biden, again, is a necessary club objective. The dynamic to watch is how Biden versus Sanders is played out and controlled. The club needs to diminish Bernie and hide the collapse of Biden. The framework is to create a viable, never Sanders alternative. Your thoughts, Stacy?
Damn.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's not. It's so believable, if you will. You know, I mean, these guys. The thing is all about control and power. I don't know if you saw James Carville on CNN. You know, he's like, "Why am I doing this at 75? Because I am terrified." And he even said it. It's all about power, and to have power, you have to win elections, and they will do anything they have to win this election. And you should never forget that. Never forget it, because they are so desperate to keep Donald Trump from getting 2 more Supreme Court justices on the court. If they don't have the courts, they have nothing, because they know their disgusting leftist agenda will not be implemented through legislation. So they will stop at nothing to have somebody who's viable to get run against Trump. So I believe every word of it.
Let me translate that. Bernie, you better have some hella security. I'm telling you. Sal, your thoughts?
Well, let's update the everyone with the current results as of 8:24.
Thank you.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Buttigieg at 26.7%, slated to get 11 delegates. We have Bernie Sanders, the Bernie Bros. He's at 25.4%, was slated to get also 11 delegates. And here we have the big tribe leader, Elizabeth Warren, 5 delegates at 18.3%. And wrapping up the top 4, usually go with top 3, but we'll include him in here. Joe Biden, slated to get 0 delegates at 15.9%. Do we need to go any deeper into this list, or can we leave it at that?
No, we can leave it there. Elizabeth Warren lost in Pocahontas County, by the way. Just a little insight there. So you guys, all right, we're going to shift gears a little bit here. I got to quit saying that. We're going to move into a little bit of coverage of the State of the Union address. If you guys don't have anything else on that, I have to tell you, I watched a lot of State of the Union addresses, and a couple things stuck out at me. One, how horribly the Democrats acted. I mean, it was suicidal, what I watched. And the second thing was that was absolutely the best presidential speech I ever heard in my entire life. That's just me. That was my reaction to the whole, they make fun of the president being a showman, but boy, he's good at it, Stacy. I'm telling you what.
My God.
That was a good one.
Did he ever put on the show? It was so perfect. And he dunked on Nancy Pelosi over and over and over again. I thought some of his statements about policy and, the fact that he pointed out how many people in the Congress had voted for certain things against the American public's best interest. I thought he laid down the gauntlet, and I think he reached out to minority communities in a way that the Republican Party has never done so. And if you watched I never watch CNN, but when Donald Trump does something like that and knocks something so out of the park, I get giddy watching it. They were so depressed.
He broke Van Jones. He broke Van Jones completely.
I'm telling you what, Van Jones sees the writing on the wall. He absolutely does. It was fabulous, and it was America, and it felt so good. And it was watched by a ton of people, and the Democrats looked like petulant children.
Oh, boy.
It was just the most perfect speech and most perfect optics. You couldn't have asked for anything better than what he did.
Can you imagine that they all dressed in white again, so they were so easily identifiable as sitting on their hands, as the President of the United States is illustrating all of the great things using metrics. You know, this stuff is trackable, man. I mean, there was no getting around that, and these people are sitting there. They wouldn't even applaud a 100-year-old Tuskegee Airman general, general.
Or a fourth grade black girl getting an opportunity scholarship to go to the school of her choice. I mean, it's unbelievable to me how they think that that's going to play with the American people. You can hate Donald Trump all you want to, but you have to celebrate how wonderful things are going in this country as far as the economy is concerned. And then when you honor those wonderful people who were in the gallery, you just make yourself look so small and so petty. They're unbelievable, and they're so out of touch, Hutch. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard some of the comments from C-SPAN. Democrats calling in saying they will never vote for another Democrat again.
That's what I was thinking. When I'm watching that, I'm thinking, where are the normal people? The normal people that don't listen to Cold War radio, that don't live this every day like I do. Where are they when they watch something like that, when they've got a $2.50 raise, which means a hell of a lot to somebody that's working, and another one on the horizon, and the people that are supposedly representing them, like the senator from Pennsylvania, you know, and the representative Democrats that all voted against this success, to sit there and not clap or anything. Sal, what do you think that you're around a lot of liberal folks? Did you hear any feedback about this?
I actually didn't today, and I was kind of curious about that. I took it as, I think they were embarrassed. I think
I would have
they
been.
Were like, you've got to be kidding me.
That would have changed. That would have changed my party. If I was a Democrat and I watched that, and I was just a regular guy, you know, not into politics like I am, because then you'd never be a Democrat. But just to watch that, like you're watching something, and you're not really political, to really see what they're doing, and to watch her tear the damn speech up. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. I don't want to go there yet.
No, that's okay. It was just, I think people were actually in disbelief. Almost,
I hope so.
To the point of, that's part. I didn't. Let's go back a little bit, and let's go back into the Obama years. Did Republicans, other than you lie, that comes to my memory right away, did the Republicans ever act that bad during a State of the Union?
No, they've not. They've withheld applause for things they didn't agree with, but you can't praise God and not clap on that. Things like that.
Well, I'm just saying.
You kill Soleimani, you got to clap for that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, people walking out, people dressing a certain, all that little theatrical bunch of crap. I think they were embarrassed. Embarrassed. That's what I'm going with.
They're so poisoned too. I want to now. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, rather, or was it yesterday? No, it was yesterday when the senators were giving their final BS talks before the impeachment vote today. I want you to listen to Spartacus and the hypocrisy of this guy.
This is a sad day. This is a sad moment
Oh, God, stop with
the
the
history of
faux
this body
tears.
and in our nation. And I fear
it's so sickening.
that it is emblematic, that it is a symptom of deeper challenges to this nation, challenges that are being exploited by our enemies abroad and by opportunists
Yeah, we're
here
getting
at
our
home.
asses kicked overseas, Spartacus, I'm telling you.
The factionalism that our founders warned us of have deepened beyond mere partisanship to a self-destructive tribalism.
True.
Sounds like some lines
And
in
I
his
quote,
book.
cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men, and quote, seeking to subvert the power of the people, as Washington predicted in his profound and prophetic farewell address. These powers have found their season to flourish here in our time. Many in our society now hate other Americans, not because of the content of their character or their virtue and values that they hold dear, but we as Americans now more and more see hate proliferating in our country between fellow Americans because of what party we belong to.
Yeah, I hate communists. That's true.
We have failed to
Always
listen
have.
to the words that come out of each other's mouths, failed to listen to the ideals or the principles or the underlying facts, because we now simply listen to partisanship.
But who started
this
that?
This nation was founded with great sacrifice. The blood and sweat and tears of our ancestors gave life and strength to this nation. This is now being weakened and threatened by what our very first president warned us of. And so, yes, today is a sad moment, but as we as a nation have never been defined by our darkest hours, we have always been defined by how we respond to our challenges, how we have refused to surrender to.
How the Democrat part, that man stands up and says we've never been defined by our darkest hours and calls us racist, and you gotta be kidding me. Absolutely
Cynicism.
kidding me.
How we've refused to give in to despair. And so I fear, as senator after senator today gets up and speaks, I fear that mere words in this time are impotent and ineffective.
I fear walking around
It
in
may mark
Newark.
where we as individuals stand for the record, but the challenge demands more from all of us in this time.
Unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
You know all that was? I'll steal a line. That was a bunch of malarkey.
Absolutely. It certainly was, man. I mean, he's a uniter, though. He's a uniter. Old Spartacus, Cory Booker on the Senate floor. Now, on a more serious note, we've illustrated, you probably have all watched the State of the Union. If you didn't, you need to go watch it. But there were a lot of people called out at this State of the Union address for being victims of different enemies of the United States. And if you saw it, you saw that Soleimani got called out and the Democrats sat on their hands. And then when with that final tearing up of the House of Representatives copy of the State of the Union address, an official government record, by the way, let's listen to a family member and how he felt about this situation. It was really, and why can't I find it? I think it's here.
In the court of public opinion, the Speaker lost. The President and America won hands down. Now watch this.
It felt like she ripped our hearts out. Everybody there, all the guests, we couldn't believe it. Look, I don't care how you feel about somebody. That was probably the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen in my life. Because when she did that, it just tore us up. We couldn't believe it.
That was the brother of slain Farmersville man Rocky Jones responding to Speaker Pelosi's stunt. I'll call it that, stunt, last night. All right, now this, a tweet from the White House. Quote, Speaker Pelosi just ripped up one of our last surviving Tuskegee airmen, the survival of a child born at 21 weeks, the mourning families of Rocky Jones and Kyla Mueller, a service member's reunion with his family. That is her legacy. That was from the White House last night. Mark Lotter is with us now.
Yeah, I mean, this is, how could you remember Nancy Pelosi or the Democrats for anything else? It's kind of like when I was watching the votes on the articles of impeachment today. I mean, a lot of the people are so old they probably don't care, but, you know, that's going to be viewed in history as the fraudulent impeachment. And anybody who would vote to convict the president on the evidence that they brought forth, they weren't even certified crimes. You know, I mean, this is... I mean, I don't want to get too optimistic, Stacy, but this looks like the death of this party. There's nothing guaranteeing that this stays around that long. I mean, these two parties are like the longest lasting parties in politics.
Right. And, you know, I don't want to get too optimistic as well. I hear exactly what you're saying, but you have to look at it, and they don't seem to be walking this stuff back whatsoever. No. And I think that they're so entrenched in their bubble and so surrounded by, you know, the media who really are a bunch of leftists and who continue to push this party further and further left. And I
who
think
aren't that smart. They're really not that smart.
Oh my God.
When you talk to them, they're not.
And if you think, and the fact of the matter is that I think they think that the majority of the country is with them, and they're not. And you know, you have people cheering Nancy for ripping the speech up, but those were people who were already in her corner. The vast majority of people, I really do believe, who saw that, like you were saying, who are just regular Joes and Jills who aren't really involved in politics that much, they were already disgusted by impeachment and how political it was. And then to see her stand up and do that. And the last thing I'll say to that is, if I were the GOP and President Trump, I would have a video of him listing his accomplishments and Nancy, and a video of her ripping the speech.
Yeah.
And he talks about the economy and low unemployment for Black Americans and her ripping the speech, lowest unemployment for Hispanics and women, and then her ripping the speech. You know, I think it would be extremely powerful, because that's not what she meant. What she meant is, I hate this jerk, and I'm ripping this off because I hate him. Not because she hated what was said,
right.
even though that's what they behaved like. But that's how I would use it.
This is Trump derangement syndrome. Brad Parscale probably freaking downloaded and made 7,000 copies on DVD of that, in case somebody tried to get rid of it, you know?
How deep in a bottle was she, though? What do you
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking Mike Pence is a
how
teetotaler.
deep in a bottle was she on? How deep was she? I mean,
I'm sitting there thinking. I tweeted out, can Mike Pence smell the alcohol on her?
Hey, Sal, what I wondered was, I was actually surprised she ripped it up. She was so enthralled with it during his entire speech. She couldn't take her eyes off of that speech.
Well,
then she stood up and ripped it apart.
Yeah. Well, there's another snippet out there that shows her taking it below. It's like a 2 seconds. Her taking the speech and sort of hiding it below the desk to see if she could rip it.
Right,
so I don't even know if she had the strength. I don't know if you saw.
Right,
she was doing a little test run.
All right, guys,
I don't know if you guys saw that, but
let's go to New Brunswick, New Jersey. What's your name and what's going on?
Hey, Stacy. Hey, Hutch. It's Marianne.
Marianne, how are you?
I'm good. It's me, Stacy.
Hey, Mom, how you doing?
I'm good. I just saw through the feed that you both were on.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm glad you called in. Mary went to the New Jersey rally. And how long were you out there, Mary? How long were you?
36 hours.
Wow. In Cory Booker town.
It was a great time. What's that, Hutch?
I said in Cory Booker's state. That's outstanding.
I'll make it even worse.
Okay.
In Menendez's state as
Oh!
well. They're
Oh, yeah.
Hide your daughters.
They
Hide
are
your
both
daughters.
my senators.
Ouch. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What I want to know is when you're joining us in Atlanta, you got to get out of there.
Oh, you're not kidding. We're trying to figure out where can we go to have a tax break, and what place is going to stay red, because knowing our luck, we'll move there and it'll turn blue.
Oh, God, I hope not. Well, so what I wanted Mary to call in because one thing that I always wonder about these rallies, Hutch, is if the people who are attending, are from that state, or they people who fight, and I'm sure there's a little mix of both of them, of people who just kind of follow around, President Trump for these rallies. And Mary, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience there and what you ran into and the people that were surrounding you in your 36-hour camp out?
Well, the one girl that got there in line for us, she got there 4:30 in the morning, and she's from the Philadelphia area. We met a long time ago and met up with her at the Walkaway in D.C. I think it was a year and a half ago. And she goes to several rallies. This was my first one. And as we're standing in line, we got there around 11 o'clock on Monday morning. People all around us were all from New Jersey. And everyone I met was from New Jersey.
That's good.
So that made me feel good, knowing that my state came out. Yeah. And a lot of them were Democrats.
Well, something made them elect Chris Christie. I mean, the element's out there somewhere.
New Jersey will vote for Republicans, but they won't give them a Republican Senate or House.
Right.
So you have to work with the Democrats that have stayed in power, and that's the hard part. So we're hoping to flip a few of these Senate spots that are coming up. But in my district, in my county, it's pretty solid blue. So
Mine too.
That's
Mine
the
too.
tough one.
Mine too. But I'll tell you, it was amazing to me looking at the Trump signage on my street. Now, I live in a decent neighborhood in the city. It's a good one. But still, it's still the city of Pittsburgh, and it's still like New Jersey.
My hometown, I grew up in Newcastle, Pennsylvania.
There you go, where they closed the post office. Yeah, I know. I had a shop there. Right on State Street, I had a shop there. But it's amazing. I think that this time, and Stacy, I'm going to give it back to you here, but I think that more than many other elections, I think the personal stake that American voters have in this economy has got to be a factor in this upcoming election. Not just this election, but people aren't going to want to give up what they've gained here.
In New Jersey, we have the salt tax, which that kind of hurt us a little bit, but it's really not the federal government's fault that our state has gotten out of control with our property taxes. I'm almost at $12,000 for a 3-bedroom ranch.
Damn,
it's ridiculous.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna give it right back to you, Stacy. But I got to chime in. My headquarters moved from Pittsburgh to right outside Bordentown, Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I told the people that asked me, "Am I going to move to New Jersey?" And I said, "Hell no! You'd have to promote me 3 different grades for me to even compare to my style of living that I have now."
That's the problem.
And 2 years later, all my counterparts said that the property tax is like having 2 mortgages. And I said, I told you.
Oh, definitely.
That's unbelievable. You'd get a raise already in Atlanta if you came down here. We have a 4-bedroom house here in Atlanta, and my taxes are half of yours. So there you go.
And Stacy, this is Sal too. Isn't there something after you turn 60, you start to get a tax break? Yeah.
You don't have to pay for education taxes.
Gotcha.
Here. So
yeah, my governor just made us a sanctuary state, and he just gave $3 million to illegal immigrants for college while I'm paying out of my butt for my kid.
It's unbelievable. When Mary, when you were at the rally, did you I wondered, and I heard this from a couple of people who were interviewed, that they didn't care whether or not they got in to see Trump, that they really just wanted to come out and make a statement and say
that's exactly right. And it was like a summer day, although it was cold and windy. Down at the shore, people were out and about. The food trucks were going. The memorabilia was being sold.
Oh, yeah.
People were sharing food, drink. No fights, zero arguments.
That's amazing.
I mean, I was outside with those people. There was 2,000 of us, a little more than 2,000, sleeping out in the cold. Wow. And the Trump campaign was out and about. They interviewed people all through the night. I made President Trump's Snapchat story.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so I'm in the record.
Nice.
But One American News Network was there. I think some Fox News trucks were there, and the cops. Any cop you saw, they gave you a thumbs up.
That's outstanding.
What about protesters? Do they show up to these types
Didn't
of things?
Didn't see one.
Wow.
I did not see one. The only protesters that walked through where we were in line were the people that were against vaccines. So they really weren't protesting because we have a huge a mandated vaccine by our governor that they're trying to push, like that HPV for little kids, So there's a huge push in New Jersey that has aligned the left and the right to, they've been down in Trenton just bombarding these people about the right, to choose which vaccines you want.
You got to watch that too, because the youth, the young kids they're buying into it.
Yeah, they
are. They are. My son's buying. My stepson, I had an argument with him the other night, and I said, I'm not against vaccines. I have every vaccine known to man. I was an Iraq War veteran. I got anthrax and everything else. But the government, do I want somebody like Menendez to decide what I have to shoot in my kids' bodies? No.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't. They're not smart enough.
Yeah, I know.
So that was and there were protesters apparently there, but they had them so far away from everybody that you never saw them. You'd have to go out and search for them to find them. But I think that they were shocked at the volume of people that were in attendance. It was a little disorganized by the event people because we believe that they had no idea what was happening. And there was only like a handful of garbage cans around. And the police came around and said, no, you have to leave all your belongings in the line. You can't leave the line. They'll clean it up. We don't have garbage cans here due to Secret Service requests that, people plant stuff in garbage cans.
Yeah, it's true.
There's
no garbage cans in
few garbage bags.
There's no garbage cans in London.
And then the next day, New Jersey 101.5, came out and called us trash and pigs, and then it came out that the venue didn't want to have garbage cans, and everything was good, and they donated all the chairs and blankets to the homeless.
Oh,
and but it was a great time. I would do it again.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Is like
I did. It kicked my butt for 2 days. I'm 58, so it kicked my butt. Lost my voice for a day. But then after that, bounce right back. You get energized, you're excited, you're happy, you're exhausted, But boy, is it worth seeing him. Have you ever been to a Trump rally?
I've been to 5 of them myself.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, Hutch.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's almost...
It's amazing. And the thing about it is you have to be dedicated because there's nothing there. There's no hot dogs. There's no pizza. There's nothing. There's not even coffee. Nothing, man. There might be some water.
Where were you, Hutch, when you saw him?
I saw him 3 times. I saw him once in downtown Pittsburgh, twice at an airport venue, and I saw him at American Bridge, Ambridge, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I did a thing for RSBN up there. So maybe it's 4 times. 4
you
times,
saw
not
him
5.
In the airport
Yeah,
overhang.
twice.
I think that would be great.
That was, especially the last one. The last one was huge. I mean, it was amazing.
Well, Mary, we're going to wrap it up with Sal. He wants to ask you one last question.
Hey,
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Hey, Mary, this is Sal. Thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate
Sure.
it. Are you on an island? And let me explain. I'll make it real quick. What's the rest of your? No, that's okay. You're fine. You can handle it. I'm quite sure. So tell me, are you on an island as far as your family goes, immediate relatives, or is everyone else? Are they with us and with you?
Oh, you mean, am I on an island? You mean like
as far as Trump Island? Are you on Trump Island? Or yeah,
I would say the majority, but my college daughter is very non-political, and she sees both sides. She dislikes Trump's tweets. That gets her crazy because she's in a liberal world, and that's all they talk about is that he's misogynist and blah blah blah. But she gets it because she comes home to Jersey and she sees that there's a lot of Trump supporters around. And I just had a Super Bowl party with 35 people, and some of them I have no idea who they voted for. But when they found out I went to the Trump rally, they all came, and there was 3 people in the room that just kind of like were quiet about it. So I was like, okay, that's not a bad number. 29 out of 32 are pro-Trump in New Jersey, a blue state. My neighborhood is mixed. But I think the majority of them in my area are more conservative.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And Mary, we so appreciate you calling in tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your experience at the New Jersey rally. And I know you, and I know how influential you can be with your circle of friends. So you get them all out to vote for Trump and every Republican you can in New Jersey.
And almost as importantly, get them to listen to the show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. live.
Sure will. No
All
problem.
Right. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Thanks, Mary.
All right. That was Mary from New Brunswick, New Jersey. That was a good story. Almost as good, Stacy, as Trump wins the night. Independent voters give President Trump 82% approval on his historic State of the Union address. That is a game changer. I mean, I don't see when you couple that with the very conservative, in my opinion, estimate of 30 to 40% of the black vote. I think it's going to be more than that. And I think this is going to be fun to watch.
I do too. And that's that, I know a lot can happen between now and November, and I truly get that. The thing that I hope happens between now and November is that Durham finishes his investigation and we start seeing some John Brennan, who Rand Paul took to the woodshed today on Twitter. I want to see the guy in an orange jumpsuit. So that's what I hope happens between now and November. But I don't see how with these policies, and like we've talked about before, Hutch and Sal, is that you can't do what you used to be able to do, and that's run like a crazy leftist in the primary,
right,
and then bring yourself back to the center to win an election, because your base isn't going to come out if all of a sudden you start talking about, well, maybe we do need to, crack down on immigration. I mean, you just can't.
The base already isn't coming out. Look at Iowa.
I know.
I mean, this is going to be historic, Sal. This is going to. I'm telling you. Everybody keeps telling me, especially after an event like the State of the Union address, how man. I mean, it was Glenn Beck. I heard him. He said, "Man, I was hearing Reagan. Man, that was Reagan all day." Well, let me tell you something. I loved Ronald Reagan. I did. Ronald Reagan can't hold a candle up to Donald Trump. I'm just saying. I loved Ronald Reagan, but you look at what happened while Ronald Reagan was president, and the economy did do well, but a lot of things didn't go well. And this guy that we have now is Ronald Reagan times 10. That's my opinion, and I'm going.
Well, I'd like to see I'd like to see the momentum going, and also I hope tomorrow. Especially the president's supposed to speak at 12 o'clock tomorrow, and give some remarks on this. I hope it is something that isn't over the top. I hope it is, hey, let's get past this and start even making the country even better. I'm looking forward to his speech tomorrow at 12, even more so now.
Well, think about it, though. If that was possible, it would be nice. But that's not possible. We have to realize these people in the Democrat Party that are professional Democrats, I'm not talking about voters. These people that
thought you were going to say professional liars, but go ahead.
They're professional communists is what they are. Mm-hmm. And they're professionally trying to take this country over. And if you think that they're just going to back down, Nadler already said he's going to freaking subpoena Bolton. This is not over, and it's never going to be over until we crush them. That's the only way.
Jason said the exact same thing tonight. He said Trump needs to go now and crush him.
Scorched earth.
Yep. Because if we don't do that now, and I hear what you're saying, Sal, and I used to be in that camp
I do too.
Of wanting him to heal the nation, to come across as the bigger person so that he can take advantage of, and you probably didn't mean this, but I look at it from a political perspective and to take advantage of how petulant the Democrats look and to really, kind of bring the country together. Right. So there are days when I want him to do that. I think we are so far past that. And I don't think the American people understand how desperate the Democrat Party is to have him not be president for 4 more years.
Well, also, aside from that, Stacy, I agree, but I'd like to see him starting to get behind some other people, and maybe we can make some gains in the House. So I'd like to see a rally for that as well.
Well, we've got to. He's going to have to put that political capital all over the United States with the House, because if we don't win back the House in 2020, you can expect this plus Kavanaugh times 1,000.
Yep, you're right.
And that's what we're going to get for the last 4 years.
If that's what happens, God, I hate to say this, but we're a country divided, and there's only one thing that's going to end that. One side is going to have to defeat the other side. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it is. I mean, this is nothing special in world history. This happens all the time, over and over, throughout the thousands and thousands of years. But I want to just in the whole vein, because we've done this before. George W. Bush listened to Karl Rove at his peril of never fighting back, and it destroyed the guy. But I want you to look at what we almost did. Think about this for a second. In the last 20 years, we almost elected John McCain as our president. We almost elected Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan as our president. Think about that. We have to change the way we're thinking. We have to get rid of these permanent political class people from both sides. They both would have been a disaster. McCain and Romney, we would be heading to the left like you wouldn't believe, but they'd be saying we weren't. Mm-hmm. And people at CPAC would be believing it.
Mm-hmm. And so would I, to a point.
I used to be that way.
Yeah, for the longest time, I thought as long as the GOP is in control, everything will be fine. Yep. And no, we will not be.
No, let's go to Kentucky and go to Rico. He was on first. Hello.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
What's going on? What's on your mind?
I got 2 words.
Okay.
Acquitted forever.
There you go. Innocent. Yeah.
Innocent forever.
That's right.
So I do expect there to be an impeachment number 2, in the next few months.
I don't know. I don't know if the country's ready for that. I mean, of course, it's not up to the country, but
yeah, it's up to the Democrat. The Democrats will do anything, man.
They're horrible,
going to try
man.
to destroy this man. Yeah, they're horrible people, man.
They are. They're bad people.
I can't believe Nadler can sit up there and say the things he has said about, it's a cover-up, blah, blah, blah.
He's a dictator.
I wouldn't do it.
And how about Rico? How about Schiff saying that, if President Trump isn't removed from office, he might give Alaska to Russia. I mean, these people they're just insane.
Well, I'm all for that, but not Alaska. I'd rather them give California away.
Oh yeah,
and Hawaii too. Give Hawaii back.
Hawaii. No one's taking California. That's wishful thinking there, Rico.
Yeah,
it could be its own country.
Yeah, California needs to become its own country.
That's what it should do. It should become its own country, and then we can go invade it.
Clean up the streets.
So what'd you think about the State of the Union?
I thought it was awesome. If I was a Democrat, I'd be saying he was attacking that Tuskegee Airman, and his great grandson and all that. But I'm not a freaking Democrat.
I know a cringeworthy moment for me was not apparently a cringeworthy moment for anybody else. But I was thinking when he highlighted the single mother and her daughter that was trying to get into a school, a charter school, if I would have been in charge of that State of the Union address, I would have vetoed that. I would have never, ever allowed him to do that. I thought that was too much like the Oprah show, man, for me. I didn't like that at all. I'm glad that she got it and all that, but I thought that was... whoever let that come in there, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this, because I think I'm standing alone here, but I really was cringeworthy. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, God damn it, why'd you do that?
Well, and I get that. I get your point of view, 100%, Hutch, because it was a little bit more of a production than it was a State of the Union. But when the stakes are as high as they are, and when you are trying to get to a vote block that we've made zero inroads, and you can do something wonderful like that and watch Democrats sit on their hands. I think it's one of the best things that you could do. I get where you're coming from, but I think we've got to pull out all the stops to get where we need to get for 2020.
I can't disagree with your analysis. I can't. No,
I stand with Stacy.
I do too. No, that's good. It was just my initial. It was my initial feeling. It was just something that, like maybe the giveaways. I'm not into the giveaways. I'm into the earn it. You know what I mean? But still, okay. I understand. It makes sense.
Sometimes people do need help, Hutch. Sometimes, someone needs to get a break, and I don't mean they need a hand. Sometimes that needs to happen, and he made it happen. And I just thought it was a really fantastic thing to do on the public stage. It would be great to do it more, but we don't have unlimited resources, and it just happened to turn out that way. And I just, when else to do it? I just thought it was a perfect time.
Well, and I think, Hutch, one last thing, and I'm with you, because, listen, I remember when Bill Clinton went on one of the late night TV shows and played his saxophone, and
the Arsenio Hall show.
And I was mortified. I'm like, how demeaning to the office of the President of the United States that you're going to go in there and yuck it up on. I was mortified. I thought it was very undignified, but it was the change in. I guess what I'm trying to say is Donald Trump recognizes where we are as a culture.
He does.
And I think that he knows how to capitalize on it as well. And I think that's exactly what he did. And I don't necessarily like it at all, but I think that we're in a different
it worked. It worked. There's no question it worked. All right, Rico, final comments.
Well, I was most impressed with the how they say, putting the spotlight on the sanctuary cities. And
that was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Sue the mayors.
And,
Absolutely.
That was my favorite part.
Mine
my favorite
too.
part of the whole thing.
And my last thing I'm going to say is something kind of fun. They've done it. Java has come out with a new one. It's called Java Reds. Okay, we're talking about cigars, people.
Right.
And I don't know how to get them yet, and I can't wait. That's all I have to say.
All right, Rico, thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
All right, let's go to Eugene, Oregon, and welcome Marlene. Hello, Marlene.
Hello, Hutch. Hello, Stacy and Sal.
Hey, Marlene.
Hey there.
I used to have a rule
as far as
against
the
that.
State of the Union, overall, I thought it was great. And I kind of like, the 8-year-old, well, I'll put him in order here, the 8-year-old kid, and also seeing his grandfather, the
That
two
was
of them
cool.
standing together.
I thought
That
the
was
coolest thing was when the president said, and he was just in the Oval Office, and I promoted him to Brigadier General. I'm like, yeah, that was so cool to me.
Yeah, that is so cool. And I tell you, his grandfather looked absolutely fantastic
He
for
did.
100 years old.
And how about how many times he stood up and down? 100
Oh, I
years old
know.
and got up and down in that chair,
I
no
know.
problem.
I
I was
know.
like, wow.
Perfect salute,
just
perfect
so
salute.
awesome.
The angle was right and
Yeah.
everything on the salute. I mean, he looked good.
Oh,
And his-
he looked fantastic.
And his grandson's
And
going to
of
be an
course-
astronaut.
I know, part of the Space Force. I hope that kid makes it. I really do.
I do too, if he's good enough.
And and of course, I was really touched with Rush getting the Medal of Freedom honor. I remember listening to him when I was in college. I had gone back to college in the mid-'90s, and that was back when he did all his impersonations of Bill Clinton, and I
yeah.
just cracked up every time I heard it.
I
But I
was very stunned when I saw him.
I was
last
too.
night. I was
I
stunned
really
because
was.
the time I saw him before
Unlike
that
my-
was when he was introducing the president at a rally, and he looked nothing like
Yeah.
he looked last night. I was.
No, he looked
That-
right,
that-
exactly, night
that
and
was-
day.
Let's listen to that.
Americans who just received a stage 4 advanced cancer diagnosis. This is not good news, but what is good news is that he is the greatest fighter and winner that you will ever meet. Rush Limbaugh, thank you for your decades of tireless devotion to our country.
And the Democrats' heads exploded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then I guess the other thing, switching gears a little bit, I was watching Pelosi, and, it was funny, but...
Hold on, Marlene. Hold on.
Sorry.
A lot of applause in this clip.
And Rush, in recognition of all that you have done for our nation, the millions of people a day that you speak to and that you inspire, and all of the incredible work that you have done for charity, I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
All right, I was tearing up. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I think he likes tearing up. I really do.
I was.
I bet you. I don't think I was, but it just really touched me inside. It really did. And I guess kind of switching gears, I don't want to say too much about her, but I think Pelosi she reminded me of a little teenager about 13 or 14 years old. She's all pissed off because she can't get her way. And I'm like, come on, woman. It's like she doesn't know how to act like an adult.
Well, I think part of it, too, was, she got forced in to the impeachment. She knew it wasn't going to work. She said as much. And not only that, but Iowa crashed and burned. She has a lot on her mind, man. She knows she's done. That's the last time she's ever going to be Speaker of the House at a State of the Union address.
Oh, man. The sooner she leaves, the better.
I agree.
All right, hey,
And one more.
hey, go ahead,
Go
Marlene.
ahead,
Man, I got a question for you
Okay.
now. You go.
Okay. Now kind of switching gears. I put the article in the chat earlier, but a It came out of the Oregonian. I guess Macy's closing 125 stores. Basically what's happening is they're getting sounds like they're starting to lose business because of all the online shopping, and they're trying to reinvent themselves. Myself, I could care less, to be honest with you. I just thought it was funny because we do have a Macy's out here. I refuse to go in that store.
I don't even
Especially
know
after I heard that some of them were selling those little goonie caps that the Muslim women wear. I'm like, forget that. You're not getting me in that store.
There you go. All right, Marlene, thanks for calling. Oh, no, go ahead. Get your
You're welcome.
All right, hey, hold on.
Real quick.
Hold on. Okay, Marlene, did you have a Super Bowl party? Did you have a Super Bowl party?
No, I didn't, Sal. I didn't watch it. And
What?
The reason I am totally serious. I have not watched the NFL ever since that idiot Colin Kaepernick, whatever the hell his name is, Kaepernick. Since that idiot was doing this kneeling routine and all the other garbage, I haven't watched the NFL in like 3 or 4 years. And it frustrates me because I would love to be watching the Steelers play or some of the former Ducks that are in the pros now. And until those idiots grow up, I'm just not gonna watch it anymore. It's sad.
All right, so are you watching MMA? Like what?
Oh God, no! I watch college football.
Yeah.
What do you,
I hate
MMA.
and that's just disgusting. I hate that.
Well,
stuff.
what?
Hey, Marilyn, call back, Marilyn. We'll get you on the air. Call back.
Hey, well, so what do you do now? What do you fill the void with, Marlene?
Well, what I do is I do watch the college games, and I do other things besides watch TV. I mean, I have a life. I work and I do a lot of reading, but I do watch some of the college games, especially the Oregon Duck games. Yes, I've been a Duck fan for years, so I watch them and I keep track of what's going on. But I hate to say it. I'm honestly hoping that at some point the NFL will grow up and they will stop all this kneeling.
Listen, I have to say, Marlene, that I watched the Super Bowl this year, and it was like Trump made football great again. It was awesome.
Oh wow!
It was awesome, except for the halftime show.
The only person
I heard about the halftime show that was really obscene.
The only person that didn't stand for the national anthem was Jay-Z.
Yep,
that figures.
He's just trying to get some street cred because isn't he in trouble with the black community because he's wants to be an owner or is an owner of a team or whatever? But
you're not allowed. Wait, you're not allowed to use the word owner. Stop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You aren't allowed to use the word owner, Stacy. Please remember that.
All right,
they are
not. They're boss then.
Oh, they're not owners.
All right, but, Marlene. Thanks for calling, Marlene. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Marlene. Welcome.
All right, now the caller that was on the line when I was trying to make my move from Maryland, we had a new caller. Please call back. We'll get you right on the air. That went a little long. Apologize for that, but that's the way it works. I think one of the most stunning moments to me when I was watching the State of the Union address was when the president was announcing that 7 million Americans were off of food stamps, and the frickin' Democrats almost started crying. Let's listen to Senator Ted Cruz on the subject.
I thought the performance was stunning. Over the last 3 years, we've seen congressional Democrats getting worse and worse and worse at State of the Union addresses. But this is the worst I've ever seen. They wouldn't applaud for record low unemployment. They wouldn't applaud for record low African-American unemployment. They wouldn't applaud for record low Hispanic unemployment. They wouldn't applaud for women. They wouldn't applaud for 12,000 new factories in the United States and a blue-collar boom. And I'll tell you the moment that I actually thought was the saddest and most revealing, early in the speech at least. When the president talked about 7 million people coming off of food stamps, there were congressional Democrats who hissed, who audibly hissed. Now think about what that reveals, that they are rooting for Americans in poverty to be trapped in dependence. That's 7 million people that have gotten jobs, that are providing for their kids, the single moms that have the pride of putting food on the table, and the Democrats are hissing And it culminated in the moment at the end when Nancy Pelosi ripped that speech. It was disgraceful. It was disgusting. I was sitting 50 feet away from her, and it made me angry because what she showed and what congressional Democrats showed was contempt for America, that they won't root for the American people, and they won't show even the barest modicum of respect for the President of the United States. I thought the President did fantastic, and I think Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats were disgraceful tonight.
I do too. And I'll tell you, that act of her tearing that up was so egregious. It was actually against federal law, to be honest. Let me just quickly go over. But I guess we don't have federal law in America anymore because Hillary Clinton did the same thing. This is U.S. Code 2071 on concealment, removal, or mutilation generally on the U.S. Code. Paragraph B, whoever having the custody of such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing, willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 3 years or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. As used in this subsection, the term office does not include the office held by any person as a retired officer of the armed forces of the United States of America. That's me. I can say it and I can destroy it, but Nancy Pelosi can't. And now she is no longer a qualified member of Congress. It's in the law. It's right there. Hillary Clinton should have never been able to conduct her campaign to become president of the United States. If we don't get this squared away, we might as well not have any law in this country. Ken from King George, you're up.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I searched around RSBN. Great coverage last night. I didn't see a lot of the, zoom ins and stuff. I don't know what feed they were using, but
it locked up a couple times. I had to change over.
Yeah, I had to reboot or just refresh a couple times. But towards the end, when Joe came on, and I was like, all right, man, he's rattling. Well, they cut back to the feed that they were using, and I just happened to be watching. I was like, because I was about ready to just shut everything off, go to bed, and I'm like, did she just tear up that document?
See, I missed that. I shut it down. I shut it down before that. I missed it. I saw it today, but I missed it when it happened. I couldn't believe that, man. Could you imagine that?
Oh yeah, but in all these rallies that President Trump's been to, even when he was candidate Trump, he was like, I can be presidential, and it's very simple. You just come up here and well, last night he was very presidential.
Especially when Guaido from Venezuela was recognized. I mean, it doesn't get any more presidential than that as far as spreading freedom.
I mean, he's stuck to the script, didn't go off on some of the because I mean, I love when he goes off on these tangents, and he's reading the teleprompter and it's like, and it's comical because, he calls these people out for the clowns and the frauds that they are, but last night he was like, I've got a job to do. This is, I'm going to stick to the script.
Never mentioned impeachment one time.
Nope. And even
never mentioned Iowa one time.
Even the heckler, or the guest from Nancy Pelosi, when he was acting a fool, he stuck. He had a job to do last night, and he did it very well.
I agree. Let's listen to Nancy Pelosi on why she ripped it up, and the surprising voice of reason lately for me, and I've got on his case many times. I think he's 75 or 76. Britt Hume's analysis.
Why did you rip the speech up, Madam Speaker?
Because it was the courteous thing to do, considering the alternatives.
It was the courteous thing to do. Why did you rip up the speech? It was the courteous thing to do, considering the alternatives, is what you said.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know what to say about that. Britt, you want to jump in on that?
I think it's an interesting question. Did she do that so conspicuously as a gesture of solidarity with so many in her party who absolutely loathe this president, or is she genuinely kind of perpetually frustrated and enraged by this guy who she thinks is unworthy of the office, who couldn't possibly succeed in it, who's worthy of impeachment, and yet here he is tonight. His approval rating on the rise, the economy booming, all the things that he cited in the speech which are real, and she's got to sit there and listen to that, thinking all along.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, it's... I don't know. I've never seen anything like it, Ken, and I think it's going to blow up in their face. I think it already is.
I hope so. I mean, he was talking about the black vote. I know 2 or 3 of them that I work with that, that are definitely voting for him in 2020.
Yeah, it's So I think that and Stacy, that goes to the immigration question. I mean, they're going to be full bore on bringing as many peasants in this country into the country, especially if they're illiterate. Those are the ones they love the most, because then they can get that food stamp roll up a little bit. I mean, that's oligarchical. If you've ever looked into the Department of Agriculture and the lobbyists that are continuously lobbying every day and every night to get every snack food, junk food on the food stamp rolls, it's a big joke. It is.
It's
and
all
we're
around
buying.
it.
We're buying.
I know. Absolutely. And I think he did an excellent job of pointing out in the State of the Union, the difference between what he believes and what they believe. And then, as he was talking about giving examples of illegal aliens who have killed and murdered people in the United States, particularly bringing up an example in California, which I thought was just brilliant, with having Nancy Pelosi sitting behind him. But you saw her in the way whenever he talked about illegal aliens and that it increased crime, or he talked about, the fact that, some had, killed American citizens, and she's shaking her head. Her verbal or her nonverbal cues the whole night were like, "Screw you, America. We're with the illegals." And I mean, that's just not where the American people are. So I think everything that he did during that State of the Union address was so impactful. It was really like a campaign commercial, in my opinion. I mean, he laid out what his campaign is going to be based on 2020, and it's a winner. And they're very apparent losers. And I think she expressed it with the rip up of the speech.
I do too, and I think AOC basically laid out what's going on here. She said the other day that if Joe Biden and her were in another country, they would be in different parties. And what that shines a light onto the future about is the Democrat Party going to splinter, Ken? I mean, is this going to end up making the socialist opposition true socialists and then maybe moderates or something, kind of like in England? Are we going to have 3 or 4 leftist parties? I hope so.
Well, that's what I would hope for too. I mean, when you got Andrew Yang out there talking, with his little math lapel pin, and apparently the Democrats can't do freaking math because it took them 4 days to count all the votes in Iowa.
All 100,000 of them.
It's not like there's 100 people, in pretty much every precinct, and let's see who's voting for who. Okay, and we've got an explicit tag at work where MF1, MF2. I mean,
yeah,
it's simple counting. They teach you that in kindergarten. But
And I mean, does anybody really believe that the phone systems went out in Iowa? I mean, really? It's such this is such a projection from the Democrats. They are meddling in this election. And I got to tell you, you've heard the Project Veritas tapes, or you've seen them.
They're Putin's dream come true. And, I mean, he's, he's former KGB, I mean, this is what the Russians or the former United Socialist Soviet Republic wanted, back in the 80s. And, the Democrat Party is their dream come true, to take down America.
Nope, you're absolutely right.
Become, the ultimate superpower in the world.
Let me get your final comments, Ken. I appreciate the call.
But yeah, I'm still waiting on your decision for CPAC. I know I'm going. I'm still trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to get there. But
all right. Let me first, before I address that, let me. Stacy's got to go. Stacy, how can people get in touch with you? Thanks for coming on. Appreciate the extra half hour too. Thank you very much.
Of course. I will try to do as many hours as I possibly can when I can. Hutch Bailey Jr., because I always love being on with you and Sal and all the listeners. You guys can most easily reach me on Twitter at DiscoveringMe40. And I hope everyone has a wonderful National Acquittal Day. And I will see you next week.
Stacy Rush, we're lucky to have her. Thank you very much, Stacy.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. So, all right. Wow. Where do we go from here? I don't know. I'm not sure. But let me talk about CPAC, Ken, for a minute. We're down pretty far. I mean, we're many thousands of dollars short of where we want to be. A lot of people really stepped up. I've got some pledges already. Going forward, but I think I have a decision to make. Do I want to go half-ass, which I hate to say it that way, but, or do I want to marshal the resources and make sure that we get to South Carolina for the RNC? So that's the decision that's in front of me. And
right.
I know everybody I know that there's listeners coming down there, and I feel horrible about this, but the show is the show, and it's only as big as it is. So, other shows have more reach than we have, and I don't want to beat the lead horses. I got people in this audience that are amazing, and I don't want to beat them anymore. You know what I mean? I feel bad about it. I hate asking for money. I do. And, it's just something
and most people do. I understand that.
And people have already given, and I thought it was going to be a little bit more momentum, but I'll be honest with you. I think that if we have to choose, the National Convention would be really a much better fit. And the reason I say that, for one thing, Ward has family there, so he's free. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. I mean, one person, you got to have a group of people, or it's just too much. We'll figure it out. By Friday, we will figure it out. If you still want to donate, and like I said before, if you did donate in the past for this event, and you really got a problem with what we're doing, send me an email or something. I don't want to make anybody mad. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I've never tried to take advantage of anybody or anything like that, but enough said on that. We'll do what we can. We're going to try to, like Tom said, we're going to make the right decision. It might not make everybody happy, but in the end, I've been to several CPACs, and I've been to one Republican National Convention, and the Republican National Convention is much better than CPAC. I'm just saying. It's my opinion. So,
well, yeah, they're to get out to Ohio last year,
that was amazing.
It was kind of a road trip from here, but
oh yeah,
I can leave the driveway on a weekend, and within like an hour I'm on Independence Avenue.
Well, the thing is that if the one thing I could do to streamline it is pick another place for lodging, but they're all expensive down there. You know that. To put on Cold War radio for 3 days takes equipment. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you want to stay in the hotel where your equipment's
right?
Because trust me, I used to be a DJ, and that equipment's not cheap.
No, and it's not light either. You know, you got to carry it.
Exactly.
But all right, we'll figure it out, Ken. We'll figure it out. Thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, brother. Hope to meet you.
All right. Well, you've met me before, but we'll get together. We'll figure it out. All right. So you heard what Nancy Pelosi said, but her eyes, Sal, popped and her jaw dropped when she realized that Trump was calling out California's sanctuary laws for illegal aliens. I mean, it blew her mind.
Again, a little bit of laughter there, but he knew exactly what he was doing, and whoever wrote this I hopefully got some input on this, but whoever wrote this knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh yeah. Now, one of the things that got me was, did you notice, and it started with Guaido, the guy from Venezuela. When he got called out, he kind of put his hands in front of himself like you're praying, like a little kid praying at dinner. And then he bowed. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I think.
Every guest after that did the same thing, including Rush Limbaugh.
I think he was just awestruck. I think he was.
But then they all
really,
did it. Everybody else that got up there, I was like, "What's up with the Buddhist hand gestures?"
I don't know.
Mahatma Gandhi in there.
It just happened. I think a lot of people, take the first person as they did the right thing and tried to copy them. It happens,
Okay.
especially in that big of a setting.
All right, I was just checking because that was kind of funny to me. Now, what you didn't hear, I don't know if Marlene couldn't hear the clip, but I was playing the Rush Limbaugh clip, and she started talking. I guess she couldn't hear it or whatever, so I cut it off. But at the end of that clip, Melania Trump, the first lady, actually put the ribbon around Rush's neck. That was phenomenal to me, Sal. I mean, I listened to Rush Limbaugh since the 80s. Rush Limbaugh is the reason this show's on. No question. I emulate that guy. I mean, he was, God, I hope he gets better, man. I don't know what I'm going to do, at noon. Well, it's just a big part of my entire adult life.
Definitely a pioneer. Definitely someone who wasn't afraid to just move forward and say what he thought was the right thing to say at that point in time. And it will be a loss. Hopefully, by the miracle of the big guy above, he can be cured and continue on for some while. It's a possibility. You got to hold out that hope.
I was saying, look at Alex Trebek, man. I mean, Alex Trebek, pancreatic cancer. I mean, that's like.
Yeah, the outcome for, I was actually doing a little bit of research. The outcome for advanced stage lung cancer is in the same category. It's pretty brutal. So let's just hope that he pulls out of this and he gets a miracle. It can happen.
That's what we need. I mean, if anybody deserves one, it's him. I mean, all of the hardships that he's been through already. I mean, he was a prescription drug addict. He lost his hearing. He's deaf. Can you imagine being deaf, being on the radio? I mean, you don't even know he's deaf. You can't even tell. His voice is the same. You've talked to deaf people before. It affects their voice. And you can't tell with Rush.
Absolutely. Yeah, he even though he might have some shortcomings, I think he's made the most of what he has to work with and what has happened throughout his career.
No, I never a sympathetic word from him or not sympathetic, but never, he's never whined or anything like that. He was excellent last night too, though. As soon as I got used to the way he looked, I've never seen Rush with facial hair like that. That stunned me a little bit. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I don't really need to figure it out. He did a great job. He accepted it with honor and integrity, and he was excited about it. I was a little taken aback by the fact that he tried to play it off like he didn't know it was coming. But other than that, that's just me, man. I mean, I'm hard. You know what I mean? CNN's Jake Tapper couldn't even spin the State of the Union address last night. He couldn't even do it. Let's listen.
Okay. We've never really seen a scholarship given, which is what the president did with the young girl from Philadelphia. We've seen the type of thing where a war hero like the Tuskegee Airman, Brigadier General McGee, we've seen that honored, and that was a lovely moment to have a 100-year-old Tuskegee Airman there with his grandson who wants to be in the Space Force. But President Trump telling a little girl that she's going to get a scholarship, President Trump announcing that there is a soldier coming home and reuniting with his wife and children. We've never seen anything like that before.
And we've especially never seen anything like it before when Democrats don't applaud any of those things.
It's let them sit on their hands. I think that they were in shock. Let them act like the babies that they are. I'm over it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think it's a real loser for them. I'm not sure, but we're almost going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, but also I saw another reaction today, and this is aside from Romney. Susan Collins came out, and it was a well thought out statement. I don't know if any of our listeners had a chance to listen to her tonight on Fox, and I did happen to turn it on right at the moment, and it was just really fantastic when she started to explain her reasoning, and the Fox host was then questioning her a little bit about Mitt, who we've talked about previously. But hey, Ralph, how are you?
I'm fine. What's going
on?
Okay. I think we can, from this point on, we can call Donald J. Trump the Teflon president because nothing sticks to him. And I hearken back to when he first announced, I heard this fellow on a YouTube religious video that he talked about a prophecy that he was given before Trump announced and all that. And there's a saying about you'll know the truth when you hear it and all that. And Trump, it all rolls off of him like water to a duck's backside. And he makes a few mistakes here and there where he trusts people and all that. But sometimes, like Omarosa and what's his name, Scooch or whatever.
Scaramucci. Scaramouche.
Royalty, but sometimes he gets burned and all that. But the man is just flat kicking ass and taking names. As far as all the things that he brought up with the first sergeant airborne, bringing him back, the black woman with the 8-year-old child can't get into a school because I think it was Philadelphia where she was from, and they don't like
a shithole.
School. Yeah, and that shithole country or state, and so on and so forth. And the reason why the Dems did not stand up was they're taking their cues from Nancy. They're all working right to signify, last time I heard, women's issues, but Trump tactfully co-opted every flipping Democrat issue you want to talk about.
Isn't it awesome? It's awesome to watch. I mean, he ticks them off one after the other, man, one after the other. And what are the Democrats left with? They're left with booing 7 million Americans coming off of grub stubs, coming
Right.
off of food stamps.
And they're not going to applaud him because, hell, they less than 12 hours before, they tried barbecuing and getting thrown out of office. They've been doing this now for 3 years. It's like Don Jr. said. The impeachment was just 3.0, pick your favorite, whatever they want to try to blame on him and all that. But he wins every flipping time.
No, you're right. It's
Well,
fun.
I
It's
just
fun.
got-
It's good. So
Yeah, I'm just hoping the economy holds on, Ralph. And I don't know what, we saw a little bit of, volatility and some warning signs with this coronavirus and things going on with that. The market's being a little bit uncertain. But I myself, I'm hoping the economy is going to hold on until at least November. I think it's very important. I don't know if there's much we all can do to support that happening. But it's
here's the thing.
I think it's going to be very important to his reelection.
I do too, and not so much to his reelection, but to our future as a world superpower. Rick Santorum said something one time, and he said, "If you're going to be," it might have been Newt Gingrich. If you're going to be the world superpower, you have to be the world superpower. And what he meant by that was you can't, in other words, when the economy is going up and down and up and down and up and down for the last 30 years, the reason that was happening is because it was a Wall Street economy. The Republican Party was shipping every single manufacturing job in this country to the East, to Asia, to the continent of Asia, because the big donors in the club that I talked about before, the CEOs of these globalist corporations, man, if you can get 100,000 Nepalese slaves to do the work for your American company, and you can still put an American label on a microwave and sell it in Walmart for $200 less than it's worth because you have slave labor, they were all for that. Every single freaking Republican was all for that. Now we have a paradigm change. Now we have an economy where American people, American workers, with their hands and machinery and robotics and natural resources and fracking gas and oil, shale, are making things with their hands. You can't deny that when it comes to an economy. We were treading water for 30 years, Sal and Ralph, because we had a website economy. That's what we were doing. We were making websites and we were making apps. Well, now we're back to making tables and chairs and cars and rockets and everything else. It's not going to go away. The natural resources under our feet that God gave us are finally being exploited. Ralph, your final comments.
Yeah, as Trump, he's mentioned very briefly here a couple months ago about dealing with entitlement spending like Social Security and all that, but he didn't get into any. And the only way he's going to make inroads is because he's going to have to grow the economy like crazy to get more money coming in than what's going out, and then start trying to figure out what we're going to do with entitlement spending. And the reason why I keep posting these stories in the VFW and that is about the military is that I'm trying to show folks where all this money is being spent. Right now, they're spending tons of money on the military just to get us back up to where we should have been, because we were like World War II level with Obama and going down fast. And that's why I believe he keeps signing all those damn omnibus spending bills and everything, because they know they got him over a barrel. Now, if we get Congress back, keep the Senate and the White House, then I think you're going to see Trump unleashed.
I hope. I really do. I do, Ralph. And thanks for continuing to participate and call into the show, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sure.
Let's go to Virginia and Regina. Hello, Regina. Regina, unmute your phone. Where is Regina? There she is. There she is.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
There she is. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I was just calling in to mention something that I thought about.
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
I kind of found interesting.
All right.
See, the thing about China that irritates me is they all. What I'm thinking is they are willing to kill pretty much all our people in order to get what they want.
They would stop at nothing.
So you really think that this is very strategic by them, that this is all planned out?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep, that's what I'm saying, because they have a bad habit of doing crazy, stupid stuff.
Well, see, I think the stupid, Regina, is getting in their way right now. I think, like what Stacy said earlier, I think these people, especially in D.C. and New York, I think that they believe that everybody in the country believes what they believe. And I think that they're that ignorant that I have to tell you, I grew up in the city, 100% city boy, right? Urban, gangster, whatever you want to call it. When I was 20, I joined the Army and got immediately relocated to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and then shortly after that to Fort Benning, Georgia, and shortly after that to Camp Stanley in the Republic of Korea. And I learned in 3 years, I learned, damn, every place isn't like the inner city. And then when I got out and my city was destroyed by the Republicans and Democrats and the unions, I had to go out into rural America to find work. And when I did, I was amazed at how little rural people give a damn about government services. In other words, I didn't have a government garbage truck coming to pick my garbage up. I had to hire a private company to come get my garbage, and they had rules. You know, you could only have this many bags or whatever, and there was no local police force. You know, all the firemen did it voluntarily.
Yeah,
you know,
I grew up the same way because my grandmother had what you would call a landfill in her backyard. Back then it was called a dump pile.
Right. But my point is that people in the country don't give a shit about the government because it doesn't impact their lives. They don't ask for anything. They don't ask for anything for the government, and the government doesn't give them anything, and they like it that way. And that changed my life, man. I mean,
that's how I grew up.
Yeah, you know, and these people that live in these urban areas, and Rahm Emanuel from Chicago even came out and said, for the Democrats to succeed, they have to build a metropolitan firewall. In other words, everybody has to live in the cities. And then we could talk about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. I know A Radio's listening. I know he knows all about that. And that's what that's all about, is to make rural America uninhabitable. You know, and it's just, it's evil. It's very evil.
Yeah, but they don't realize that for Virginia, it's not going to happen because you got some people out there that still have no trespassing signs on that property and barbed wire fencing. And if you happen to go on that property, they will come out and breach you, and they will have weapons with them when they breach you.
Sure.
So, because that's how Virginia is. You just don't go on the property. That's another issue that they're having with the voting situation up in certain areas, is because a lot of people don't want you on that property, and if you're on that property, they're going to make you uncomfortable.
Absolutely. What'd you think about the State of the Union address?
I thought it was hilarious myself. And that's another thing about the State of the Union that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people don't realize, I think what President Trump does is he writes a speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
With everything that the Democrats wants to hear in the speech. But he leaves things out.
Yeah.
He doesn't put the things that he's gonna do in, or things he doesn't do that. He leaves things out. So I think that's why Nancy is in the background flipping through the papers, because she's trying to figure out what did he put in there and what did he put out, because you can see it on her face when he says something. You can see it on her face. She's like, that's not in the speech. And so she goes back into the speech and she's looking through and she don't see that. She's like going, okay, that's not in the speech. So.
What an embarrassing night for her. I mean, to sit back there and have that puss, to have that scrunched up face that whole night, her jawbones had to hurt after that was over.
That was hilarious. And poor Mike Pence.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, he got a contact buzz off that. Absolutely.
I think he smelled that anisette, man. I'm telling you. Oh, Regina, thanks for calling.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, let's see you. Regina from Richmond, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite callers, man. Oh, my goodness. I want to thank everybody for calling, man. Thank you for calling in. Somebody told me that the call from Maryland was actually from Ken, so I hope that's true. I hope he had a couple lines going in there. But Sal, you got an update? Go ahead.
Okay, with 92% reporting in the Iowa caucuses, all the cell phones and the pictures and the calls, they all got in there.
Mook.
Yeah, we have Pete Buttigieg at 26.5% with 11 delegates. Bernie Bros, Bernie Sanders, 25.6%, 11 delegates. Okay, everyone get around in a circle, do a little dance. Elizabeth Warren, 5 delegates at 18.3%. And leading down the pack, Corn Pop's favorite. We have Joe Biden at 0 delegates, 15.9%. That's your update as of 9:55 p.m.
Obama, 2012, he's going to win, baby. He's the man. Biden was down here, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Obama!
What do you like most about the Obama administration?
That, let's see, healthcare. Yeah. And schools. And what else do I like about him? I like everything about Obama, basically.
What does it mean to have Biden out here?
Greatest day ever to have Biden here, man. That was the best experience ever in my life to see him in person like that.
What went through your mind? Did you get goosebumps?
Oh, yeah. Big time, man. I love Obama, and I love Biden, too. Because Biden's all business. He's all business, and he'll tell you how it is, and that's why I love him so much.
Ukraine business.
I appreciate it.
And I love Obama! Yeah! Obama!
I should have fired you for not getting her on taking it to the streets, man. I mean, that was like the ultimate take it to the streets.
Oh man, that sounds like there was at least a 6-pack.
That was good. Smugglers try to breach the border and get stopped by Mexican Marines, proving that Trump's policies are working. And wait for it. And Mexicans are paying for it. That is just totally outstanding. And what a surprise. The Democrat National Committee's Shadow app founder is a Pete Buttigieg supporter. The app crashed, and now Pete is ahead of Bernie. How about that? And as
it's
a closing note,
it's funny how things work out.
It is. And a closing note, Elizabeth Warren thanks illegal immigrants who helped her Iowa campaign. Attention, Black American Democrats. They are replacing your ass. Understand that. Sal, how can people get in touch with you and your final comments, sir? We are out of here.
Final comments. Really appreciate everyone calling in tonight. Stacy, Hutch, it was great being with you. You can reach me at Twitter at Sal, SALATCWR, and I'm out.
What a great show. What an excellent show. Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Stacy. Thanks to all of our callers. Goodness gracious. Thanks to Mary Ann, who called in from New Jersey, fresh off the rally. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. We're going to figure out what we're going to do or not going to do at CPAC and the Republican National Convention. Stick with us, folks. We are highly adaptable. We can't do one thing, we'll do another thing. We'll be back on Friday. We have a special guest. A black conservative woman. Can't wait to hear from her. Mona's in high gear down there in New York, I got to tell you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Cold War Radio. Catch you Friday, 8 p.m. Thanks for letting us into your life for a couple hours. Keep that train on the tracks, Tom. God bless. Please go to rspn.bandcamp.com. Support Jacob Seals. God bless.